Welcome to Brainish English Stories.
Dr. Anthony Hill Cooper met Rebecca Wade in New York in January 1946. He was 30 years old and was working in a hospital while she was 21. Cooper had been married before, but his first wife had passed away. He immediately fell in love with Rebecca, and 6 months later, they were married. At first, they stayed in New York, and Cooper joined a company that sold medicines. Rebecca wanted to be a singer, so her husband paid for her singing lessons. Her voice was not really good enough, and she wasn't very successful. Later, when the couple moved to London, she did begin to sing in theaters, but she never became famous. Cooper was not allowed to work as a doctor in England because he had trained in America, so he continued to work for the American Medicine Company and opened a London office for them. In 1957, Cooper and Rebecca moved to a house at 42 East Street. They were not happy together. Rebecca was a cruel, violent woman, and they often argued, mostly because Rebecca spent more money than they could afford. She also liked being with other men. In 1959, Cooper fell in love with his secretary, Mia Thompson. Mia wanted him to leave his wife and marry her, but Cooper would not or was afraid to do this. Then, in December 1961, Rebecca found that her husband and Mia Thompson were lovers. She warned Cooper that she would leave him and take most of his money with her. On January 27, 1962, two of Rebecca's theater friends, Thomas and Elizabeth Carter, came to dinner with Cooper and Rebecca. During the evening, Rebecca and her husband argued violently, and the Carters left early. The next week, Cooper told neighbors and friends that Rebecca had gone to America to look after someone who was sick. This surprised everyone because Rebecca had said nothing to them about a sick friend or about traveling to America. Then, some weeks later, Cooper sold several of Rebecca's rings and some of her other valuables. In March, Mia Thompson moved into 42 East Street to live with Cooper. Later, when Cooper told the Carters and other friends of Rebecca that she had become ill and had died in America, they could not believe it and suspected that he was lying. At last, one of the friends went to the police with the story. Inspector Marshall Webb of London's Scotland Yard, England's most famous police station, visited Cooper soon after this and spoke with the doctor and Mia Thompson. Cooper spoke calmly and confidently about his wife, making no secret of the fact that Mia Thompson had been his lover for several years. He also agreed that the story about his wife's death had been a lie. The truth, he told the detective, was that Rebecca went to America to live with a lover, Simon Miller, who had been one of her theater friends in England a few years before. Inspector Webb was not completely happy with this story, but neither was he able to prove that Cooper was lying. But Cooper was not as confident as he pretended to be. The visit from Inspector Webb had worried him, and after the detective left, he told Mia Thompson that they must go away and make a new life for themselves in another country. They began by getting a boat to Holland, then went on to Brussels and Belgium, where they moved into a hotel for several days. When Inspector Webb visited Cooper's office on June 21st, he was surprised to find the place closed and Cooper gone. Immediately, He gave orders to search the house at East Street, and it didn't take his men long to find what remained of a woman's body under the house. She had been poisoned. On June 25th, Cooper read in a Belgian newspaper that part of a human body had been found under the house at 42 East Street. He quickly got tickets to sail on a ship, the Britannic, which was going to Victoria in Canada. To make any discovery more difficult, Mia Thompson dressed as an 18-year-old boy and pretended to be Cooper's son. They used the name Jonathan. The ship sailed for Canada on June 30th. But the captain of the ship, Robert Brown, had read about Dr. Cooper in the newspapers. He remembered photographs of Cooper and Mia Thompson and began to suspect that Mr. Jonathan and his son were not what they seemed. Sometimes the two men held hands, he noticed, and Mr. Jonathan seemed to have had a mustache until recently. The more the captain thought about it, the more sure he became that these were the two people the police were looking for. Robert Brown sent a radio message back to his company office in London. The information was passed to Inspector Webb, who left England on the Laurentic, a faster ship than the Britannic, which was also going to Victoria. Dr. Cooper and his lover knew nothing about any of this, of course, and were quietly confident that nobody had recognized them. So it was an unhappy surprise for them when they found Inspector Webb waiting for them in Victoria, together with a Canadian policeman. Webb boarded the Britannic and arrested Cooper and Mia Thompson. They were the first criminals ever to be caught using a radio message. Webb returned to London with them, arriving on July 27th. Dr. Cooper's trial, which began on October 19th, lasted just 3 days. The jury first heard how he had poisoned his wife with hyoscine, then cut up her body and buried it under his house. No one was surprised when they found him guilty of murder. Mia Thompson was tried as an accessory, someone involved in the crime, although not present when it happened, but she was found not guilty. Dr. Anthony Hill Cooper was hanged on the morning of Thursday, November 23, 1962, in Holloway Prison. Hanging was the normal punishment for murderers in England at that time. Mia Thompson went to live in America but later came back to England using a different name. Later, she married and had children. She died in 2005.